Linux OTC. Welcome to episode... What episode are we, actually? Hold on. 38.
Yep, 38. Got my little chat popped out. Always on top.
All right, partner. Keep on rolling, baby.
Ooh,
You
and
know
it
what
started
time it is.
playing. And
Yeah.
that'll screw with your head.
Oh, no, the other day I actually had the live stream open as well when we were doing Mincast.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see if there was anybody in the chat. But no, there was nobody in the chat this time around.
You can just hit the pause button, and then I usually pop out the little chat video and put it over here on top of OBS Studio, and then I hit the little thing that says keep on top. It's really easy on Cinnamon, I think.
Hey, Eric.
Eric.
You're live.
Hey.
There
Cheating
he is.
death
alive.
once more time.
Yeah, exactly.
Ever thought you were a
Facing-
cat?
Oh yeah, I am definitely a cat.
You know,
That's
9 lives and all that.
my spirit animal.
You got
It suits my personality too, honestly.
What, you sleep most of the day, you're snarky most of the time,
no,
with
not so
very
much on the
rare bursts of
sleeping.
intense love and affection.
Yes, I'm cool and
jealous
calculated.
love and affection.
No, I'm a pretty open person. I don't know. I
Have you heard Churchill's quote about animals?
probably. Hit me.
A dog sees its master and sees its master. A cat sees its master and sees its servant. And a pig sees its master and sees an equal. Which works really well.
I love it.
It's one of
I
these
gotta-
apocryphal things. I don't know if you actually ever did say it, but if you did, it's a good quote nonetheless.
You got the transformer plugged in, Eric?
I do.
And I'm not picking up any semblance whatsoever from you. So hopefully,
There were 2 people watching. Now it's just down to 1 person watching.
I think
I like the
you and I were the two.
I like the patch cable too. That makes a big difference. Not having that huge straight piece coming out of the back of the mic.
That was a problem I had to fix almost immediately when I started using these things.
Yeah.
Okay, so what
Is
else?
Joe going to be on as well?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Whatever. We'll deal with that when it happens, I guess. All right. I gotta get a long sleeve shirt because I'm freezing.
Freezing. You're in America. The South bit.
I got to go to Georgia for evacuating the hurricane, and it was in the high 50s overnight, Fahrenheit, obviously, and
Yeah.
it was so pleasant. My wife and my daughter are like, "Oh, it's so cold." I'm like, "You are insane. This is perfect." I should definitely be in a northern climate. I do not belong in a tropical climate. I don't do well with it.
I think I belong in a Mediterranean. So where it's warm in the day, cool at night, lots of sun.
But
Do you know
not,
what I mean?
Not particularly humid, because that for me
Yeah,
is
but
what
not
kills me
particularly
in Florida.
humid. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember going to Turkey once in the height of summer, and it was hitting 33, 34 Celsius. What's that for you guys? 90s. You know, so it was nice and warm. It got a little bit toasty, but it was nice.
I don't mind it during the day, for a period during the day, right? Let's say, even like 10 to 4, 11 to 4, somewhere in that range. But as soon as the sun starts, going down, it should cool off and not be so damn humid. And that's really what it is, the humidity.
Yeah, it's the
I don't
humidity,
really
isn't it?
mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the humidity. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what gets you.
Yep.
Coolio.
All right.
Anyway, so I was on Lugcast last night.
Mm-hmm.
Just for Bill's sake, and I did some test recordings. I mean, I don't hear any sibilance, but then again, I didn't hear it with the other Fed heads, so I'm curious to see if this makes any difference.
Well, when I sent that to you, I hooked up this one of these germanium ones. They're the most expensive one. And
Germanium, isn't that like a flower or a plant or something?
I think it's something that doesn't exist.
Geranium.
Geranium. Is it
Yeah. And I was immediately missing my transformer, so I went ahead and ordered another one. So, but I've got their germanium one still hooked up just to see what it sounds like on this show.
I guess I have to look again, because when I looked, I could have sworn there was only 2 style of Fed head.
Oh God!
And this was many years ago, so maybe they've expanded the range, because back then it was either the Cloud Lifter or the Fed head, and the Fed head was like $95 and the Cloud Lifter was $170 or $60 or something. And I was trying to sort of limit what I was putting out, because I was getting everything at one time. And so it was like, rather than spending $1,500, I was spending $1,000 or whatever. So in the grand scheme of things, I should have just bought, I don't know. Having the Cloud Lifter was yet another, thing with wires and like a box.
Yeah.
And so the Fed head just made sense, because it's like, well, it's inline, and it's just easier. It does essentially the same thing. The noise floor was much lower, so it didn't have any of that background noise or anything, and it seemed like it did exactly what I needed it to do. I never knew, like I said, at that point, it was just like you either had one that was with phantom power or without, like one for dynamic and one for, and those were the choices that I remember. So the fact that you were like, well, we'll try this one or that one, I was like, I didn't even know there were other ones. So shows you what I know.
This is the germanium. This is for punchy sound. So apparently I've got punchy sound right now. This is the transformer. I went ahead and replaced it. And this is the phantom. What this does is it passes through the phantom power. It gives me the gain, but it also passes through the phantom power if I'm using a condenser mic.
And there he is,
The man
Leonardo.
of the hour.
Yo.
So
Actually, that is a question. Is it actually Leonardo or are you just Leo? Oh,
Yep.
cool. Have you got brothers called Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo?
Nope. Juan.
I bet you've never heard that one before, have you?
I know, but yeah.
No,
Never. This is the first
Whoa,
time.
whoa. Where'd you get that?
What?
Raspberry Pi mug.
Yeah,
Oh, I have 2 of these.
I
I got
want
them in.
one of
I got them in Dallas. Like $6, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's
Micro
gonna be,
Center. Next
that's
time.
That's going to
you
be
want,
shipped before COB today.
I don't think you can. I don't think they'll ship any of the Raspberry Pi stuff.
Not hearing your negativity.
I'm sorry, man. You're on the road though. There's no way you've
Nope,
not
not
driven
anymore,
by.
But he's not on the road as much, is he, nowadays?
No, I got off the road.
Wow.
Working
okay.
on the health.
Oh, good. Wait a minute. So how many miles a day are you walking?
I've bought equipment.
Well, you live where it
course you
gets
have.
cold though, like actually cold.
Yeah,
Cold.
and I was really I'm thinking about my joints, because when you're
Okay.
close to 300 pounds.
Do you have a Stairmaster?
I have an elliptical trainer, a good
So
one.
basically, a
Get,
circular Stairmaster.
get one of those cross trainer things.
Yeah, that's what it. That's what I got. It's a Nordic Track smart terrain. So it does.
So it came from Sweden. How cool.
Sweden. Das ist Sweden.
Why are you
I
doing a
don't know.
German accent for Sweden?
Isn't it all the same?
Shut the show down. It's over. It's over. We've done it already.
We've
Yeah.
offended all of our European listeners.
Yeah,
Give me
all
just
3
a
of them.
skosh more gain, Eric, if you would, please.
Just a skosh.
just a
Skosh.
A
skosh
smidge.
more.
Is that too much?
That's about right. That's
Just a squeak.
yeah.
A squeak too much?
Yep.
How
That's
about that?
perfect.
That's
Shall
a
we?
good squeak.
Shall we start?
I don't know. Shall we?
Linux OTC episode 38.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
decided to jump in and get in front of Bill.
And just so
Hey,
you know,
anybody that wants to do it is more than welcome.
No,
this
that's
has
fine.
nothing to do with my name. Nothing at all.
What's that? Oh,
What I'm pointing at.
The turtles.
I don't know what that is.
I can't see.
Are you serious? Bill?
Yeah, I
can
can.
see it.
Oh, yeah.
You're
the
cutting
Ninja,
out.
Ninja Turtles thing.
You need to drop that down a little bit or something.
Me?
Who, me?
You're pointing at the poster behind you, but all I can see is the characters. I don't.
That's it. Yeah, the character.
Is it a Ninja
Yeah.
Turtle?
Yeah, it is the Ninja Turtle.
Oh, that's their blindfolds. Okay.
Bill. That's not
Oh,
even
Lord.
a blindfold.
You know how old I am.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
This
I
is
thought
like,
it was
yeah.
an orange, blue, purple, and red frog or something. I don't
Yes, it was a frog. There was
Yeah.
a Battletoads crossover, which was very important to me, Bill.
Do you know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was renamed as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in the UK
And they broke it. That's what?
because the BBC or whoever it was, were afraid that it would make kids want to start beating each other up, which they did anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute,
course
they're
it did.
kids.
Well, yeah, we did
Like,
that
it's-
anyway.
It's just a wonder they didn't do it with sticks. Like,
Well, we
people
tried.
that-
I
the
remember
people that-
being a kid for the first time round, and we'd try and get sticks and make nunchucks with bits of rubbish and stuff like that, and say "cowabunga, man."
and then just like ninja kick somebody off of the back of the bus, you know? Like, oh, I didn't know that was going to break your ribs. Sorry, kid.
Yeah. So
I think
yeah,
the dumbest thing we ever did was one pump BB gun battles.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God. Ow.
Yeah. No, you.
If
now
you
got
did
me
one
related.
pump, it wouldn't break the skin. It would hurt like hell, but it didn't break the skin.
And then you
so-
grew up to play paintball.
Well,
Uh,
interesting we mentioned paintball because I did go paintballing a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah, so there was a charity event organized by the local mosque to pay for, there'd been some floods, I think, in Bangladesh or whatever, so they were doing a charity event, and they said, okay, we'll do paintballing, all the proceeds go to charity, that kind of thing. And so I just thought it was a great excuse to be able to, remember, this is the UK, it's not the US, we don't get guns as easily, yeah, but to get some fake guns and accidentally on purpose hit my kids. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
Sorry.
Did it feel good?
That's
Did it feel
pretty
good, Dad?
It felt great.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it felt good.
No, I mean, we all. I mean, I
Feels
got
good
shot
to hear
so
the
many
story.
times.
It did. Living vicariously, it felt good.
yeah.
Knock you little bastards off your bike.
See, this is what worries me, is because he says stuff like this here, which makes me think he spent too long thinking about it. Because he
Oh.
can even think of how he's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget
yeah.
the episode number thinking about it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. There's this terrible WhatsApp joke that goes around. These kind of WhatsApp forwards. It's of this guy. His wife goes to him. I just want to know, if I die tomorrow, would you get married again? The guy's like, well, why are you asking me this kind of stupid question? Is something wrong with you? He's like, no. I just want you to be happy. I want someone to look after the kids. Why are we even talking about this? No, tell me. Promise me you'll get married if I die. And he's like, okay, then, I suppose. And then she goes, would you give her my clothes?
What was that noise?
I mean, what are you on about? It's like, she's probably got her own clothes. Okay. Would you give her my jewelry? What are you on about? She's probably got her own jewelry.
It was your Mastodon, Bill. It's not your heart rate. Don't worry.
No,
Where-
it's on my phone.
Would you give her? Would you give her my shoes? No, she's a size 7.
Oopsie poopsie.
Yeah, exactly. That's never obviously happened in my house. Obviously, never.
Obviously.
never. But yeah, it's just one of these things that make you think that you've thought about this just a little bit too much.
You even got the person picked out.
It's on the
right.
It's a list on the fridge. Have you not seen this?
You've been walking by it for 7 years, and the list just keeps getting longer.
Have you seen how
All right.
expensive a divorce is, though? Oh my god.
Tell me all about it. Yeah.
So that and I understand now why people. Not that I would ever advocate this, but I do understand somewhat why people might murder their spouses rather than go through a divorce.
I thought you were gonna say just stay married, but okay.
That went a bit darker than I expected.
Yeah, that took a turn.
This escalated quickly.
All right, Leo, you want to get the Audacity going?
Yeah. Hang on.
I don't test my Audacity. I like to live on the edge. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, you are an Arch user after all.
Microsoft Edge.
I've got that installed. repo style.
Have you got that installed on Linux?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Wait, Edge, really?
Been available for years.
I know it has, but that doesn't mean you use it.
Well, I use it for all the Microsofty stuff and the cloud gaming.
The Microsofty stuff. Bill, how dare you?
Yeah.
On a Linux podcast as well. Shame
You would
on you,
be-
Bill. Shame on you.
The
He's
cloud
looking at-
gaming works remarkably well.
He's
The-
looking
the
at his
Xbox
notes
Live.
right now in Office 365. Right now.
Ooh.
You can't prove us wrong, Bill. You
easy.
can't prove us wrong.
No, I can't prove it. Unfortunately.
Well, let me see your Microsoft phone right now. Windows phone.
Yeah, he's rocking a Lumia 1020
Wow.
with his Microsoft kin in the drawer as well.
With all
and the
new
Zune
3G
player.
technology.
All right,
All right.
are we pressing record?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
In 3, 2, 1, record.
Oh, hold on. Mine's gone into stereo for some reason. 1 second.
It's all right.
That's fine. I don't
Is
care.
it all right? Okay, fine.
Yeah, mine's in stereo.
And yet you're only in the right ear again, Bill.
Are you serious?
Well, it's in the left ear too, but mostly in the right.
Stop
you
messing
figured that
with
out
him.
last
Did,
No, I'm
did you see the
serious.
look of horror that came across his face then?
It's just me then.
Are you
We're
hearing
doing
me
any
in
zeros,
both
by
ears?
the way.
I hear you in both ears. It's just louder in the right than it is in the left. Maybe it's my headphones, man. I don't know.
I'm only using one ear. As usual.
Right. Majid, am I coming in? the
Yeah,
center
you're
of
coming
your
in both
head?
ears. Both ears.
Both
All right.
ears, but he's got hearing loss, so
Huh?
Stop it. You what? What did he say there?
Yeah.
Can't hear you. Margaret, I can't hear what this man's saying. He's one of those American-y types.
American-y.
he eats the Chips Ahoy.
All right. I think that's enough. I got like
Well, it's not that it's enough. It's just that we've started talking again, so you're not going to get any silence.
Yeah.
But there was some silence for about 10 seconds.
Yeah. Listen, I only use 5 seconds, man. On the other show, on that other place, I only use 5 seconds. It's fine.
Yeah, with your real friends.
Friend, the just one.
Ooh, speaking of friends, the box should go out today, Leo.
Well, I need to talk to you about that.
Hold on.
Leo.
This is Linux OTC. Episode for Cool. Now, what were we
Episode
talking about?
OTC.
All right, I'll do it.
OTC Linux episode. Episode D. Oh, what? What did he say?
Episode
Starting to
D4.
erode the way 3 Fat Truckers does. Linux OTC. Welcome to episode 38. I'm Bill.
I'm Magic.
Eric.
Oh boy.
And I'm Leo.
Nardo.
Yeah.
Friend of Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo.
Yeah, live stream, our first live stream. It's so exciting.
What do you mean your first live stream?
No,
Round
now.
table and you do Mincast all the time.
No, it's not exciting, Bill. We can't take out the things that you say now. It's just
Right.
there.
Well, we're not
Yeah,
gonna...
all the closet racism is all going to
It's
be.
okay. We're
it's all going
marked-
to be there on YouTube for posterity.
We're marked explicit on Apple, because apparently only Apple people are offended by bad words.
What a bunch of
And
what
so
a bunch
there
of
you go.
sissies.
Yeah. But if you're not on Apple, you don't exist. So there you go.
And now
Yeah, there
that's
is that.
true.
But on the other hand, if you are on archive.org, you don't exist either. So there's
Oh,
that.
yeah. What's going on there?
Oh boy. I
Well,
wish
it's
I knew.
back up. We're back up, right?
No.
I think. No.
No.
What?
No.
Partial.
What do you mean?
They've got partial functionality. Yeah. If you go to
Oh
the,
my
the
God! Hold on,
website-
I go to archive.org. Service availability. Okay, Wayback Machine's good. Oh, you got to go to web.archive.org, and you
not
get the
good.
Wayback Machine. You got Archive It. What's that? What's Archive It? And then blog. Okay, well the blog, that's cool. Hey, but look, if it it's a little slow. If it comes up, I can tell you what the most most important thing is.
Which
Whatever.
is
1 day ago. Yeah. Last week, along with a DDoS attack and exposure of patron email addresses and encrypted passwords, that's the lead, by the way. Encrypted passwords and email addresses to match were leaked from Internet Archive. So if you have an account over there, you should probably go change your password. If you can.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if
absolutely.
you can or not, but
But-
you should.
You should anyway, but I'm just saying if it's encrypted, because I remember
Right.
in our chat people were saying, well, it's encrypted, so it should be all right. It's like, yeah.
See, this is the thing, and I love this conversation because I don't think anybody ever thinks about what happens in 3 years. Like, these encrypted passwords are that right now forever, right? This is the information that the hackers got away with, right? And eventually that password's going to be cracked because someone's just going to be interested enough to just run a brute forcer against the entire stack of passwords that
Yeah.
they've got.
But if you're
Given
using
enough time.
a password manager that's giving you
Stop it,
weird
Eric. We are the 0.5% of people that do that.
okay, fine.
This is
Yeah.
for the other people that don't have good security hygiene, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, I think it is part of. I mean,
Your
and
passwords stink.
yeah, I mean, I think. I mean, I'm guilty of this as anybody else, but you're right. You just need to have good hygiene when it comes to these things. Difficult passwords, change them regularly. Don't use similar ones on
Well, you
similar
don't even got to
places.
change them regularly, though. That's the thing. Is that
That's an old myth. Actually.
No, I mean, but it makes
have
it
I
makes
been
sense
pwned?
to.
Go sign up. Have I been pwned? Go do it.
Yes, I've been
If
there.
you-
I've been there.
If you ever get an email from that service, change that one. But you don't need to rotate through your 200 passwords yearly or anything like that. You really don't. And on top of you don't need complexity in your password either.
Okay,
You don't need stars and question marks and dollar signs. You don't need it.
So there's a
Right.
difference between
Length.
what you need to do and what is good practice, isn't there?
No.
Isn't there?
It's the same thing.
No, I don't know. I mean, I can imagine that, yes, you don't necessarily have to, but, okay, by doing so, are you compromising your security?
By what?
By
Not
doing
changing
what?
every year?
No, by changing every year.
You're not hurting yourself, but you're not helping yourself either.
Right.
It makes no difference if you spend that extra 6 hours going through your entire database of passwords and changing
Why?
every single one of them. It does not help.
Why?
I think whenever you make things unnecessarily difficult on yourself, you
Right.
can be compromising your security too. Because
The trade-off, man.
No,
you're
but
gonna,
again, I'm just saying, okay, playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
Why not? Why does it
well, Bill said
not
it.
help?
That's why not. Just because I don't think anybody's going to actually go that far and do any of that, right? It's not. I don't think it's going to really truly help you out in the long run. You're just going to get tired of it, and then you're going to forget about it forever.
But then you've not lost anything, have you? Like you've just said.
I mean, I guess, but why burn yourself out at all if you don't have to?
I think if you're able to manage it and it provides you with peace of mind to change it every year, why not? Go ahead. I can't
How many
see how it
passwords
would.
do you have, Bill? Do you use Bitwarden or
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah,
How many
I use
passwords you got
Bitwarden.
in there?
I think the last time I looked, it was 144.
Yeah, me too.
Different ones.
Give or
Yeah.
take. I'm about in that range. Like, you gonna do that?
No, I'm not.
144. Majid, how about you? You got a password
I
manager?
got about 3. Yeah, I use Bitwarden. Last time I checked, I got 250.
Whoa! You're gonna do that every year?
No, I'm not saying I.
Oh,
necessarily
they're all
do.
the same password. It's just on there 200 and something.
Eric's
like that.
looking. Eric, how many?
No. I'm looking at why. I'm finding an answer to Majid
Oh, okay.
and why it doesn't make sense. To
Start
do
at
that
start at
anymore.
NIST, man.
Well,
Start
the
at,
answer is entropy. If you're using passwords that have good entropy, then changing
Right.
those to a password with equal entropy is not going
Okay,
to.
so here's the answer. So
Okay.
chief among the reasons why the researchers say that it's a bad idea to change passwords
emotional.
regularly, the requirements encourage end users to choose weaker passwords
Boom.
that they otherwise would. A password that has been, P at $$
gross.
W0RD1 becomes, the same thing with a 2 on the end. And at the same time, the mandatory change provides little security benefits since passwords should be changed immediately in the event of a real breach rather than after a set or prescribed time.
It's
So
like
that's the
I do it
consensus.
for a living.
The thing that I don't get, though, and I agree, Leo, that it's a very small percentage of people. Although I will say that people, because browsers have built-in password managers, and increasingly, well, you say gross, but it's a better option.
You're
writing it down on a piece
1,000%
of
right.
paper.
But this is like, shouldn't you change them every year? Right? It's just like that inside feeling that
Right.
damn well it could be better.
But what I'm speaking to is the defaults. I mean,
You're
I
right.
personally think that using a password manager has offloaded that part of my brain. I don't have to think
Yep.
about it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't have to deal with any of it. I create complex passwords for every login I create.
Sorry, I
And-
agree with you. I just really hate Chrome.
Oh, I don't use Chrome either.
Wait,
Well,
what?
everybody
I'm-
else does.
I know. Well, I use Chrome via proxy because I do use Vivaldi on my smart devices. Well, on my tablet, my phone.
Yeah.
And even now for like the Video Ninja, I'm using because it works better in a Chrome
Because it's
browser.
Chromium based,
I'm in
isn't it?
Firefox right now, guys.
Well, I have Firefox open too, and that's what I use for most of my browsing. But I'm a realist. I recognize that certain things just work better.
You realize Leo's here in Firefox today, talking to you live
On
on
Video Ninja.
YouTube.com.
Firefox
Well, if
on a
if it
powerful
makes
desktop.
both of you feel better, I am on Video Ninja through Firefox, and I've got Vivaldi open to see the YouTube stream. So
Wow.
there you go.
The exact opposite of Eric. That's very cool.
Yeah.
We're an eclectic bunch, aren't we?
The reason I don't use Firefox for video is when you're broadcasting through a tab, I'm using multi-tabs and stuff and tab groups, simple tab groups. It won't let you switch to a different tab group. It locks you to this tab group whenever you're broadcasting. I don't know why, but it just does.
That's a add-on, not a built-in
It's an
thing,
add-on,
right?
It's an add-on, but it's
Okay.
still one of my core sort of add-ons that I've been using for a long time. So
Gotta get better
it's
add-ons,
easier for
man.
me to use Vivaldi than basically the opposite of what Majid just said. But anyway,
Yeah.
I guess.
I
mean,
just
I've
think
said,
having the default.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you mean. I mean, I've used the password managers on Vivaldi and Firefox in the past when I used to use Chrome. I used to use the Chrome one, but I don't use that anymore. And I do sometimes wonder whether, if you were to say so I mean, Leo obviously knows this stuff better than I do. Which is the more secure password manager, your browser or a separate one like Bitwarden, and why?
I think a separate one like Bitwarden, not only because it's not directly part of the browser, but it also is more sort of detached and universal, where
And it's
you
the only
can
thing
use
they
it as
do.
part of a browser, you can use it on your desktop, you can use it on every device you have, and it is centrally, kept. Whereas if you start using, okay, well, where is that password? Oh, it's in Chrome. Or no, it's not there. It's on a different browser. Oh no, it's not there. It's saved in my, iOS, tool chain, whatever. Like it becomes more difficult to deal with if it isn't a single source of truth, so to speak. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
why
you're
I've been using
widening.
Bitwarden. Go ahead, widening.
You're widening your attack surface essentially by
Yeah.
adding an
Yeah, I see
add-on
what
to
you
a browser, right? So you can attack the actual database itself, but you can also attack the browser to get to the database. Not saying that is a currently a valid way to steal passwords or anything like that. Just that it is.
Is there any way, a valid way of stealing passwords?
I don't know. Ask
Valid-
Archive.
Valid is an effective.
Effective,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, the reality is that security is a series of best practices. Everyone is susceptible to a security breach. Even security researchers can have problems with their security simply because
I got that email.
nobody owns their data anymore, right? My wife's business just had a bunch of checking accounts and stuff opened because they have her personal information, they have her business information because that's all publicly available. And all they had to do was put the two together, and then, the banks don't care. They'll open an account for you and, without any more proof than your social or your EIN. And your
Yeah.
address, your and
I mean,
like,
this is
it's not
something
like
that's
she
happening a
leaked
lot.
the information. It's because there's some dickhead data broker, has all of our stuff because the U.S. allows data brokers to exist, and
Well,
I tried to
Equifax
explain to her
exists.
without getting like apoplectic because it just drives
Yeah.
me.
It's terrible.
I mean, there's been a couple of big things in the news over on this side about some of the fintech, so like the Revoluts of this world and whatever, and they're kind of very lax business. They're very lax security. I have a Revolut account, and I remember I stopped using it because I realized that whenever I was confirming, and when it said put in the CVV, the signature code on the back to confirm the transaction, for about a year I've been putting the wrong number in, completely by accident, but I've been putting the wrong number in, and each transaction had gone through. And it was like a
What?
year later when I realized, wait a minute, shit, I've been putting the wrong number, and they've still been doing it. And I thought, whoa, that's some security mess there.
That's supposed to match. Something's
I
going
think
on.
I would be bringing that up
man.
with somebody.
Well, as I said, I
Wow.
stopped. I
Yeah,
just
that's
stopped
terrible.
using it after that. I just
Yeah.
stopped using it
Wow.
after that.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, anyway. So actually, I wanted to just moving on to something else. I wanted to ask you something actually, because I was listening to.
Assuming I'm willing to move on.
Well, yeah, you don't have to move on, but I mean, no, just that. I wanted to ask you because I was listening to your last Linux user space.
Oops.
And you were talking about getting an Android tablet because you wanted to check out Thunderbird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I know that this then led to some discussions on the Discord, and I think Bill's going to be sending you something or the other or whatever.
Right, Bill?
Yeah, it's supposed to be picked up today. It's sitting upstairs by the door. The wife is.
Okay, so my question
Leave it
is...
a surprise. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like some 16-year-old tablet. But I'll take it.
Not quite
If it-
16, but
if it runs
Not far
Thunderbird,
off.
man.
So my question is, why do you want to check out Thunderbird on Android when you're not going to be using it since you're Mr. iOS?
Because Thunderbird, as I was so dutifully informed, will be coming to iOS in one day. It is a pin on the corkboard of Thunderbird. They are working on it. They have hired or are in the process of hiring new Swift developers to develop it for iOS. So more just kind of dipping my toes in before I get it, I guess. But honestly, the main thing is just I like Thunderbird, man. I like using open source stuff where I can. Thunderbird's one of those projects that's just always been fantastic. I haven't needed it until a couple of years ago when I had, in addition to my normal emails, I got one for my own domain. I have one for Linux user space. I've got a couple others that I kind of manage. And it's just nice having a single pane of glass, right? So, yes, I'm on iOS, which means that I'm just using it in the Mail app. But Thunderbird's pretty much an analog to that. And if there's an open source version of the thing that I'm already using, I'm more inclined to use that. So it's coming. That's why.
So if that's the case and you prefer to use open source stuff when you can,
Don't you dare bring up
here
Android.
comes. Here comes.
why are you
Close.
using iOS?
No, not even close, man. The Google junk is all closed source. So even if I used an Android, it would just be as weirdly walled gardeny as I would on Apple. And on iOS, stuff works. So I mean, if I have to choose between two devils, I'm gonna choose the one that makes my life easier.
The only
And
thing
not
that
the one that-
irritates me about the new Thunderbird is that they haven't made it available on F-Droid. You have to get it from Google Play, and you can.
You got to
run-
play the game, Bill. You
Yeah,
got
I
to
suppose
play
you
the
do.
game.
Although having said that, with the new court judgment, about Google and its monopolistic practices.
Oh my
and-
God, that's fantastic! I'm so excited to watch.
I know.
Google explode.
It
Please.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
they're talking about breaking the company up. Which is just kind of.
This is my excited voice.
Yeah. Well, this is how he introduces the show too, so it makes sense, right? Like he's actually jumping up and down. Like rewind
Yes.
on the
I
live stream,
would
check
if
that
I
out.
thought for 1 second that anything is going to come of that other than just some sort of corporate.
Bill, it's been 40 years. 40 years since the U.S. has done some real trust busting. But we're so close, I can taste it. I can taste it, Bill, in my mouth.
Can you?
So this bit, okay, because why do you
Don't
think
ever
it's
say
not
that
going to
again.
happen?
Okay, I
Sorry.
thought about it.
Why do you think it's not going to happen, Bill?
Because he's a cynical asshole.
It's not that I don't think it's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is there's going to be some sort of way to figure out, because these people made a living thinking outside the box. And it's just going to turn into, well, so if we are not, if we break off into another company, but which means it's not one company doing everything, but yet we exercise lord-like influence over this second company that is doing the thing that we want to be doing somehow or another. How does that change anything for the users, for everybody else?
And this is just me being overly optimistic, because in the legislation that will break up Google, hopefully, will be rules that we can, as in the people of the United States, as in the government, right, can mete out punishment for any of that kind of thing, right? Like, how did we break up the oil barons back in the day? Why didn't they just do exactly what you're saying? It can be done.
Yeah, I think it
And
can,
then-
but I think it requires people being a little bit more understanding of how technology works, and our
Oh my
government has
God.
not demonstrated that ability.
That's the answer, though. That is the answer. Is just like we have to be vigilant with our freedoms, we also have to be vigilant against the people who would just extract money from everybody
Yeah.
with being unchecked all day, every day, just vacuuming up all of our money.
So
We can do it. We've done it before.
I hope you're right. I really do.
I hope I'm
So-
right, too, because I'll be very sad if I'm wrong.
I mean, I mean, I don't know the history of this particularly well, but you know, I remember, was it 15, 20 years ago, Microsoft was in a similar position. You know, monopolistic practices, Internet Explorer, Windows, whatever, and nothing seemed to have happened then. So why would it now?
That was weak sauce, man. Like, Microsoft didn't actually get broken up. They got penalized for shipping Internet Explorer and a couple other things, right? Like, but that was the closest, at least in the tech sector, that we came to actually trust busting anything. And so it was nice. It was a bit of a show of force. We can still do this to you, Microsoft. But we didn't go through with it. We didn't follow through with anything that should have happened back then. This is looking a little bigger.
I'm just surprised whenever I hear legislators talk about this, because my mind is still 15 years ago when nobody took technology and the internet seriously,
Well, that was half the problem.
and nobody
Now
took
it
the
rules
time
our
to
lives.
understand it, and
Right.
yeah, a
That's
lot
the
of
difference,
companies.
is it touches everybody, right? I mean,
does.
and I agree with you, Bill, because there was a blasé, sort of complete lack of interest, and like, oh, it's just that thing that the
Right.
nerds are using.
You have to
Yeah.
dial up to get onto it.
Right. It's not. I mean, now it's literally pervasive. Everything we do, whether you, and that's the truth. Like 15 years ago, you could be a Luddite. You could choose not to participate. Now, try to do anything in the modern world without having a phone, without having an internet connection. Try
My
to do
dad's doing a real
banking,
good
try-
job. He got to drive a lot, but he does a real good
Okay.
job.
Okay. Well, no, that's actually
Okay.
encouraging to know that it's possible. You know.
It's less and
I'm-
less every day.
But yeah.
I mean, I'm trying.
Yeah.
His lifestyle is probably way different from yours, though, if I had to guess.
And my mom bought land out in the middle of nowhere just so she could keep trying. And I mean, also doing a pretty good job. So
That's what you gotta do.
That's what the sheep are telling her anyway.
Mom,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But then why? Okay, just going back to the whole Thunderbird thing. Why use on a? Why do you want to check it out on a tablet? Why not check it out on a phone? They'll be easier to get hold of.
So, right now, I don't care. I don't care how I consume Thunderbird at all in any way, so long as it is the mobile version that they are currently working on. Tablet is fine. That does not prevent me from grabbing like a Pixel
Yeah.
6 or 7 that is still in, like, not production, what's the word? Like, support. Still supported.
Yep.
And just kind of moving on that way. But I was mentioning to Dan in the pre-roll of all of that stuff, or post, it doesn't matter, not on the show, that I really just wanted something that I could use as a separate thing from my phone. Right. So privacy is still, no matter what platform you use, right? Privacy is still something that's really important to me. And I want to use things like Instagram, Threads, and not Blue Sky. Blue Sky's fine. What's the other one? Anyway. No,
X.
no, God, no. I'm trying so hard to leave that place.
Not
There's
hard.
other places. Oh, TikTok, right? As if it's any better, but less Nazis. So it's great. Anyway, so I'm trying to use those apps. But have you seen the Instagram requirements? Have you actually gone into the application and see what it actually requires? On iOS, it requires heart monitor information.
It
Really?
requires installing it, and that's where they.
Eric, that
lost
was my
me.
face. I did that exact face when I saw that. And I'm like, why the hell would they need access to the heart app or to the fitness app? Why? That makes no sense to me. Why would they? And so I immediately noped out of that page and never installed it on my device because no, absolutely not.
I know why Google wants that information. They want to be able to. They want women's menstrual cycles. They want your heart information. They want to know exactly how you feel when, so that they
Yeah,
know
we're not doing that.
what ads
Yeah,
to
they can-
feed you.
Exactly.
So I want a device
know.
that I don't walk around with that cannot
Yeah, that's a good
record
point.
that information. And so it's kind of twofold, right? Like, so I don't care what kind of Android device I have to test Thunderbird on because I really just want an Android device to have these applications that are creepy crawly, and I don't want them on my real everyday device. So yeah, I mean it's twofold, and it works for everything, and I'm happy with what I get, and then we'll kind of upgrade as we go, I guess.
I would assume at this point in the development of that, of course, this is completely anecdotal, but I wonder if the interface, because some apps will change the interface dynamically between tablets and phones, but I would imagine this probably is the same interface for the phone and the tab, because I think the K9 Mail, which I used that for a number of years, and as far as I'm aware, this is just kind of an iteration on K9 Mail.
Yeah,
It's close.
Well,
I'm looking
in
at them
Android,
side by side. I mean, they're close, but there's some different animations. It's different. It's not exactly the same.
and it's still in
Oh.
beta, right? So this isn't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
this isn't even its final form, right?
Yeah,
So-
the UI is definitely different. I mean, that's the slide out for all of the folders and
Oh.
things, and that's the one for K9. So I mean, they've definitely. I mean, even if it's just the window dressing, it's different.
Yeah.
Did y'all write down that credit card number? I did.
Yeah. Because I do use K9.
Good luck with that one, buddy.
I do use K9. I did actually download the Thunderbird beta as well, but I haven't really played around with it properly yet.
You gotta hook an actual email address up to it. And
You got to
then-
add
and then
all
maybe.
those accounts again and then set up all the settings.
But that's the thing, right? Like once I get it done, I'll never have to look at it again, so long as it doesn't explode during an upgrade or something like that. And that's kind of how I've treated the Apple Mail stuff. It's just.
But you know what?
been
They've
there.
also made they've made using a third-party email app pretty painless nowadays. I mean, the days of putting in your IMAP server and all that stuff is. I mean, I just put a live account in there just to test it, and I mean, it knew how to authenticate. All it needed to do was go through. I used the Microsoft
Yeah.
Authenticator,
Yeah.
so it sent me the code, and I accepted, and it was just done. I didn't have to do anything. Like, and that's what's great about their onboarding is getting so good now that you can use it without much pain. So
Yeah.
and because you're using IMAP, really, even if something happens to your device, like you just log back in on a different device, and it's. So I think I'm very happy to see that they actually. I wasn't aware until you were. I hadn't seen the latest episode of the show, so I wasn't aware that this was a thing. And I'm really pleased because I've been waiting and watching K9 to see like, are they actually going to do something with this? And I hadn't realized that they were actually releasing a separate app. So cool. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it took me literally. And then I of course I'm familiar with setting up email, and like it's not like it's a difficult thing, but this is really that onboarding for a known provider. So if you're using any kind of and I assume the same would be true with Gmail or Yahoo or any of the other major providers, like it's just going to be like 2 minutes and you're up and running.
Right.
Now if you have a lot of mail to synchronize and stuff like that, then maybe that's going to take a little longer, but
It does, even on the desktop. Thunderbird
the one email provider which I found always kind of causes a problem with third-party ones is iCloud Mail, whatever it's called, the Apple one. I always had difficulty doing the onboarding until I figured out I needed to make app-specific passwords and stuff like this, and then it would allow me to. I don't know why.
Well, why are you trying to use it with anything other than Apple Mail?
So because a couple of years ago,
that was very sarcastic. That was
no, that's fine. Okay, fine. No, but
you get an Apple
it,
tablet.
But it is a fair point in the sense that why the hell have I got an iCloud when I haven't got any Apple devices? A couple of years ago, and I've talked about this on Mintcast, I did an experiment of seeing whether I could, use an iPad instead of a laptop for real work type things. It didn't.
That's where you went wrong, man.
I remember that.
It's not a laptop.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, and then so I had to sign up because you have to sign up to log in and get apps and stuff like that. And then at the time, because I was fully committed to this experiment, whenever I was signing up to some certain services, I would use that email address because like, look, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it properly with an open mind. Let's see how it goes. And yeah, the whole thing fell apart. But now I have these certain services which have that as the email address. And that as the login, specifically some work things. And so for a long time, I just kind of ignored it until I realized that, for example, if I ever lost access to that email completely, I wouldn't be able to get into my cases logbook, the logbook of all the cases that I've done, which I have to present every year at annual appraisal. And so I thought, shit, I better actually, make sure I've still got some way of accessing this somehow.
You call their help desk and tell them to put a different email address on your account.
Okay, you're assuming that IT gives a shit and does anything properly in the UK.
I'm not saying
NHS.
It's not going to take you 6 months of like yelling to get it fixed properly, but I mean it would prevent you from losing access to all your stuff.
Yeah. Anywho, so in the end, I just thought, well, and that's actually the reason why I downloaded the Thunderbird, because I thought, well, Thunderbird, it'll work fine. It's a known provider. It should be fine. Nah, it didn't. In the past, when I'd used Outlook, when I'd used K9, nah, it didn't. And then in the end, I did that thing that you always do in these situations, which is search for it on the internet. And then I found something which said, from Android Police, I think it was, saying that you need to make a app-specific password and then put that in as your password when you're then setting it up on a third party. And so, yeah, after about a couple of months, I finally got access again to that account, which I just found it
just in
interesting.
time for the yearly presentation. The end.
Yeah. I just found it interesting that it was so convoluted to do that. It's never been a case. I mean, I use the Gmail app, for example, for my Outlook address. It's never been an issue. It works fine. I've got issues with the Outlook app anyway, so that's why I try not to use it. Usability issues. So, any particular reason, or is it just Apple being Apple, or is there is an actual proper security reason? Any ideas?
I mean, two minds. Apple being Apple, that's usually the answer for pretty much everything. But they do the Proton Mail thing, don't they? Like encrypted at rest, and you gotta like jump through hoops to like Proton Mail doesn't let you just slap it right into Thunderbird, right?
Never tried, but okay.
Yeah, you need some kind of add-on bridge thing that basically
No,
defeats
that's
the
correct.
purpose
Actually,
of
yeah,
the
you're right. Yeah,
email
you are
address,
right.
whatever.
Actually,
So I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, right? Like they're happy to let it continue being hard because less people do it then. But it's hard.
And honestly, true. The truth is, how many people are actually doing that versus their core, user
Yeah.
base that are. I mean, that's a.
This is why I yelled at
99%
Eric a second ago. Yeah.
Exactly. It's almost nobody is doing that.
It's just us nerds, man.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to know whether there was a particular reason. That's all. Because sometimes there are good reasons. Do you know
It
what I mean?
depends
It's like,
on how you consume your email too. Because, like, if you got one mobile device and you want to be able to consume all of your email, but you want it to be siloed off, then yeah, by all means, go get your Gmail app, go get your Yahoo Mail app, go get your Outlook, and keep it all siloed off. But if you want it aggregated and you want to be able to, cross-pollinate somehow or another,
Whoa, no, I don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, if
You're not a unified inbox guy.
yeah.
Oh God, no! How would I know who I am when I'm responding? That doesn't make any sense to
Well,
me.
you drop
It's
down the
like,
little arrow and it.
Ew, that's too many clicks already.
You set up a
Yeah.
default.
yeah, I mean,
No.
I'm the kind of guy that does have it siloed off. I have separate apps for
Yeah,
separate email
like
addresses.
like
I do
hit
too.
I hit the back button, look through the list of my email addresses, click that one, and that's the email that I'm working with at the time. I don't cross the streams, man.
Yeah, it's only recently that I've put, as I said, my Outlook email address onto Gmail, and even that it does kind of tick my OCD a little bit. By
Well,
like,
that-
it shouldn't
that
be
I
here,
have
it shouldn't
never
be
Hold
here.
done.
on. What? You did it? Wait. You
The
haven't-
Gmail app will work with like Outlook
Okay,
Mail.
so-
and
Oh, it's a
things.
real email app, not
Yeah,
just
it
for
is.
Gmail.
Yep.
Yeah,
Extra
you can do
gross.
this. Yeah.
It's kind of
So,
gross.
so I've learned that
You're letting
you can,
Google look through your other email accounts
exactly
that
what
aren't
he's doing.
Google.
See, that face
No.
that Leo just made is why we're streaming now, so you guys can see this for yourselves.
So actually, I'm going to blame Dale for this. All right, he's probably not watching, so it doesn't matter.
Well, what did they
Dale,
say?
are you here? Are you here to protect yourself?
One finger pointing that way and three fingers pointing right back at you.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds like something I heard.
All right,
a
let's have
therapist
this
say.
self-incriminating evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So what happened? Well, what is happening is that I am getting an incredible amount of spam, and I don't know. I've obviously been pwned somewhere or the other. My address has leaked out or whatever, and Outlook is just rubbish at filtering that. It's all junk. And it's all coming into my main mailbox. It's all coming in as flagged high priority. Your device is this, or you need to change your password, or you need to do this. Your iCloud has been hacked. Your Gmail has been, and it's just, I was literally getting hundreds in a day. And if I could, I really would just nuke that email address because it was pissing me off so much. But it's the same email address I've had since 1997.
Yeah.
And so there's
Comes in
loads of
waves.
legacy. Yeah, there's loads of legacy stuff that which I can't even remember that it's signed up to. Anywho, so I was on our Discord and I was asking the question: anybody got any ideas what I can do? I'm reporting all these mails to Microsoft as phishing, as spam, all this, and it's not making a blind bit of difference. Or any ideas? And then Dale said, "Well, actually, the Gmail filter is a lot better for junk and spam and phishing. So why don't you, and he said that he had used Outlook, I think, in his Gmail. So I thought, okay, let's try this out. And it is slightly better in that I'm still getting the hundreds of emails a day, but only maybe 20% of them are actually finding their way into my inbox, right? The other 80% are being siphoned off into junk and phishing
Okay,
and
so
spam and
is
stuff.
the client doing the filtering, or is that happening
Server side.
server side?
Yep.
Because that's supposed to be, yeah.
Well, it
that's supposed-
couldn't be happening server side unless the app is literally sending your email through Google's servers. Because no, that's even worse. That's
What I mean
even
by
worse
server
than
side
what I
is
thought.
on the Outlook
Think about
side.
it. Think about it. You're using.
No,
a
I did think about it.
web-based-
It's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is server. It has to be server side because you're using a web-based mail system. I mean, the
Well-
client is your browser.
Wait. So the mail sits at Outlook.com and then goes directly to your Gmail app. That's the way that normal IMAP works.
I don't think that's how that works with Google. I'm almost positive whenever you use Gmail, it goes to their server first.
That's even worse than what I originally thought.
I'm almost positive that's how it works.
Wow.
I don't know, because if you log into Gmail on a browser, you're not going to get your Outlook mail on there just because you set up your Outlook mail on your mobile device with the Gmail app.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I'm saying?
Gmail doesn't sync across devices like
Okay.
that. In fact, it's one of the things that people complain about, that Gmail on Android, for example,
So
every
then-
time you set it up, it doesn't even remember your signatures and stuff like this.
All right, so then the way I'm thinking of it is if you can also set up your Outlook mail to come through the browser version of Gmail.
That's a forwarding thing, though, isn't it?
I don't know if it works as a forward or it's an IMAP. It goes and retrieves it.
Okay.
But it does bring it to their server, and then you're looking at it on their server. You're right. The app is
Okay.
probably different. The app is probably going and getting it from the IMAP host and pulling it straight to the app without needing to go through.
It's still
for all we
server
know,
side,
it still
but
goes
it's
through.
Outlook server side.
I mean, it's not. It's still probably coming through Google server somehow, don't you think? Maybe not. I don't know. I just
mean,
trust.
I mean,
ask
if anybody else can give me a good way of trying to get rid of all of this
no, I mean, listen,
spam and
you're
phishing,
absolutely right. The way
I'm
that
more
you just
than happy.
The way that you just described your Outlook problems with spam is exactly what Yahoo is. Yahoo can't be bothered to filter spam. As far as I know, they're getting paid to let it go through. I don't trust them one bit, but it's the same as you. I've had that email account since probably the same time, 1997, 98, somewhere around there. I can't get rid of it because I've got like 5 family members that refuse to use my actual, like, modern email accounts.
I still got an AOL account.
Yeah, exactly. You
I still
can't
have
get
those
away from it.
coasters.
But if I go into there, it is 99.9% just absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And there's that 1 or 2 emails from a family member that I.
It's from the
feel like
IRS. We've
When you
received
get
your
an email
thing.
from somebody or you're doing business with somebody and you see their email address is at
I judge.
yahoo.com.
Oh, I
Do you judge them? Do you judge
yeah.
them?
I absolutely judge them.
Yeah. And every time I don't actually reply in Yahoo, I actually reply to them from my modern, and they still send it because the contacts get imported. So this is
They
kind of
just
the
hit
problem.
reply
I have.
all. They don't care. And it's like
That's kind of the
BCC to
problem.
all
Yeah,
your accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it is hard to get away from those old accounts, but you're right. If I use Yahoo through Gmail, it is 85%, 80% better because Gmail, for good or bad, they do an excellent job of spam.
So for all
filtering.
the ragging y'all do on Apple, so you're saying that Google, Gmail puts out their rules that you can apply anywhere, right?
I don't know that.
I'm still a little dubious
That
about
would
that.
be cool, but I think that would not be good for their business model, which is grab and hold and never let go of people.
Yeah.
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 Listen, I've been using Gmail for 20
Oh, dude, I was in the beta.
now.
I agree. Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. And
They were
I
cool
fully-
back then. Now they're just
They were
slimy.
cool.
Well, okay, maybe they were always slimy, but they're showing their true colors now. Well, in the past 10 years or more, really.
I was just sitting here working it out in my head. Okay, let's say you have an Android device and you get the Gmail app and you don't use it for any kind of Gmail. You don't have a Gmail account. You just use it to aggregate other email accounts. And then it occurred to me, you'd have to have a Google account just to get the app from the Google Play Store.
to sign into Android in the first place.
Yeah, I was going to say. And then Majid was talking trash about, well, you got to have an account to log into. Yeah, you do. And with every single device you own,
You
regardless
work it
of
out
where
backwards,
it comes
and
from.
it's like, wow, wait a
So-
minute. There's no way to get away from it.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, I had another experiment, which was try and use Android without any Google services.
And you failed.
Failed the minute you turned it on.
It was like,
It
Android was
was-
great until I tried to do anything with it.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked better than I anticipated. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most usable thing in the world. I'm not gonna lie, but it worked a lot. I was able to download everything that I needed to download. I was able to use everything that I needed to use. It was a secondary device anyway, so it's not like I had the thing that made me think that this was actually less secure was, I did end up once or twice going around hunting for APKs, and I thought, well, this isn't particularly safe to be going around onto random websites trying to find an APK for a certain thing or the other.
The Windows way.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like getting a random exe file, isn't it? So it was a fun experiment, and it was, as I said, it was just an experiment, and it worked, as I said, better than you might have expected.
But the difference between that and using, say, like Linux, is that you can still, because it's still the Android kernel, and it still is technically Android even without Google services, you can still use a banking app. You can still do
only sometimes.
Well, you're right. It's not a perfect solution, but you can use the open source Android, and you can get a ROM. It is possible to de-Google a device and get 90% of the functionality out of it versus trying to use something like a OnePlus, or not a OnePlus, a Pine phone or something like that.
Oh,
where,
right.
Yes, you're using a phone factor device, but you don't have access into all of the things that you would use a phone for, and it becomes an exercise in frustration to try to do anything meaningful on that device. So I would still say a de-Googlified Android ROM is better than a Linux-based system, unfortunately.
I was frustrated that there was no lineage ROMs for the Pine phone that I'm aware of. That seems like the perfect device for that.
I mean, those devices have to be tailored. The kernel has to be tailored to the device, right? And I think that was just too much effort.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no just sort of generic kernel. It is very much for that hardware.
And that's why I don't get excited about mobile devices.
Well, I do when they're gonna actually be Linux. When they're actually gonna be like, this is gonna be Linux. It's gonna work. All the hardware is gonna work out of the box and all that stuff. Like, that's when I start perking up, and I'm like, maybe.
Nah.
I know.
Has anybody actually tried? Has anybody actually tried using
I've got a
one
Pine
properly?
phone. It's terrible.
So I tried trying to get Ubuntu Touch. I specifically bought a used OnePlus 6 because it's supported by Ubuntu Touch to use it, and oh my god, I basically killed that. And I tried as much as I could, and after a certain amount of time I went, you know what, if this is the way it has to be, the onboarding process for someone who wants to use Linux on a mobile phone, then it's failed and we should just go home. And in the end, I wiped that phone and put an Android ROM on and donated it to charity or something.
Well, that's darker than I think. I don't think it's failed. I just think there's a lot of room to improve.
No, I think it's failed. I mean, seriously, where?
It's going to take an extraordinary amount
I
of
would love
time,
to be
effort,
wrong.
and
Genuinely, I'm not saying this with any joy in my heart, right?
Yeah.
I would love to be wrong, right?
I think it would take some fundamental changes in the way the whole ecosystem works.
No, just the first 4 letters. It would just take some fund.
Money.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
even
but
with the
money's
right
important.
money, you still have the fact that
but if the money's there, if there's a paycheck at the end of it, then you'll have developers. People want to work.
How
it's
difficult
not-
is it to break into the smartphone industry? I mean, come on. Microsoft couldn't, with all its money, couldn't get anywhere.
I've heard
true.
people say that. Where
Vendors
their
are-
heart's in it, though. That's what I want to know.
Their hearts.
11
were in-
billion hearts were there when they bought Nokia. Yeah,
it
11
sounds
billion.
like a lot of money for you and I, but
They just made some dumb mistakes. If they would have done the Android compatibility part earlier on, I think they might have had a stronger chance.
Yeah, but
And then you've got other hardware vendors like, say, LG or whatever, who just completely withdrawn from the space because it's like, we're not making enough money. You've got vendors like Sony who have become so specialized. They make, 3 or 4 phones which are really niche and probably really good for the people that, are professional photographers that want to use their phone for their professional photography. More power to you if that's what you are. But they're not, ubiquitous anywhere, right? So since it is,
they'd still just buy an iPhone, though. for that.
So, well, you could argue exactly that as well. You could argue that as well. I mean, I have a
Yeah,
friend
yeah.
of mine who's been on Android for years, who's thinking of getting an iPhone specifically for the video qualities.
Yep.
But anyway, the point I'm trying to say is that when people who've got huge amounts of money have failed, how on earth is Linux going to get anywhere?
That's not the point, though. Like, I don't have any illusion that Linux would ever be the dominant operating system on a platform. I mean, look at the desktop. We've been trying for 30 plus years. It's not going to happen. But we do have 4% is still a lot. It's still quite a bit. And, if Linux were able to get 4% of the mobile market, then that would also be amazingly huge and well beyond my expectation.
I think
Yeah.
as long as it's good enough, as long as it's able to exist for people like us. because
Eric,
if
that
you
was
think-
people for the desktop in the 90s. That's exactly what they did and exactly what they said. And 20 years later, I know it's not huge. It's not like market breaking. Apple's not trying to crush Linux, but Microsoft was at that time. And yet, despite all that, still 4%.
Listen, I think if you have realistic expectations and you're happy with that form factor of a device and you just want to do web browsing and like certain things on it, great. But if you expect that the radios and all of the proprietary hardware and things on a just random consumer device is going to work with Linux, it's never going to happen.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
way too hard to do all that work for what?
Dude,
For
I
the
read that blog,
100,000,
but about the
200,000
desktop
users?
the other day. Like,
Yeah.
well, if you just want to do web browsing and some email, well, then Linux is great for you. Go ahead and put it on your
Yeah, I
laptop.
get sick of
But if you
people
want to
that-
do anything real with it, then, well, you got to throw it away and buy a Microsoft laptop. Like,
That's clearly written by somebody that's never even touched it.
Eric, who are you getting paid by? Who?
The reason I'm showing you this is because I have always wanted a Linux tablet, right? And last year I bought this, or earlier this year, maybe, I don't even remember now. I think it was last year. And this was, $140. It's a Dell, device, and it's perfect. With GNOME on it, it works absolutely flawlessly as a touch
said the G.
device. I did, because they're the only ones that give a shit. You try to use this with any other desktop environment on Linux, and it is an absolute shit show. It's awful, terrible, terrible, terrible.
KD
But
is
GNOME
better than
actually
it
works.
was, but GNOME is still the best.
GNOME actually works on this, and you can
Out of the
use
box.
it. You can actually use it without the keyboard if you want to. It's better with the keyboard, but whatever. So the idea of actually having a Linux tablet is a real thing. You can actually do this, and it's not expensive. It works very well. Yes, it's not as good as other alternatives, but it still works very well if you're worried about your privacy or if you want a device that you fully control. And the compatibility with Dell devices, whether you like it or not, is very good.
Is that an
So-
x86 device?
It's a Latitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an x86.
x86.
Well, see, there it is. Because if we try to shoehorn it into the...
But the point is, the expectations of this device that I had were that I could use it like I use Linux on a desktop, but with a touch interface, with a decent on-screen keyboard, with the ability to move things around and just have it work well. And it does that fairly flawlessly. The battery life isn't great. It's not certainly not anywhere near as good as something like an Android device. But it is possible to do and to have an actual decent experience with it. And if you have the same expectation out of a handheld device, out of a phone, then you can do the same thing. But as soon as you start wanting to do phone things that you could expect Android or iOS to do, it is not going to work. It is going to be a complete pain in your ass, and someone will tell you that it'll work, and they're lying to you. Do not trust them.
Which distro, by the way, are you using on that tablet at the minute?
What's that?
Which distro is it that you're actually using on the tablet?
I think I have Pop OS on it right now.
Okay.
See, I
But
think of those
that-
devices, though, as... It's x86, though, and you can have an expectation.
He's
that
got
things
the
are gonna
arm
work.
itch.
But when we're talking about like consumer, widely available tablets and phones, that's always going to be an ARM device, isn't it? And
That's a good segue, actually. That's a good segue.
Do you have a Snapdragon? Are you about to reveal something? You need to send it to me.
I'm about to buy one. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Okay,
put
cool.
it right next to that
One of the
Synology.
co-pilots. One of the co-pilot PCs or what?
Yeah. So basically, I found a deal for, it was a Lenovo Yoga Snapdragon X Elite, £400 off. So it was reduced from 1,200 to 900, and I just thought that's just too good a deal to pass up on. And I initially wasn't going to, and then but they did actually have it in stock in one of the stores here. So I went and had a look, played around, this, that, and the other, and I thought, okay. I mean, I was going to be buying a new business laptop anyway because my private work's getting a bit more and more, and I need to have a bit more. So I was going to be buying something anyway. So I thought, well, why not? Let's try this out. Now I haven't actually received it yet. When I do, I'll let you know what it's like. I remember being, well, okay, first, obviously, you think about, do you really need to spend that kind of money? And I suppose you probably don't. But if it's tax deductible, well, why not, I suppose? We have to get it, get it through my business and get it paid through that way. Secondly, if it is something interesting, isn't it? It is something, Windows on ARM, and then at some point, Linux on ARM, as in Snapdragon devices. There's already a Tuxedo apparently are going to be coming out with a Linux machine running one of the Snapdragon Elites. I asked this question in the late night Linux Telegram group, and somebody actually put out that literally the day earlier, experimental version of Ubuntu 24.10 had been released, which would work on the X Elites as well. So it was on Phoronix.
And so,
how much pain are you willing to accept, though? Because you know it's not going to be perfect.
Yes, so this is the thing.
we use Linux, Eric. Come on.
True.
Yeah, but
so this is what I'm going
Linux
to.
is nowhere near as bad as it used to be, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can have a
no.
pretty seamless experience today.
The only other person I know who's got one is the guy that I mentioned before, who's becoming more and more into free and open source and had been replacing. I mentioned on Mintcast, I think, he'd been replacing his Microsoft stuff with LibreOffice and going on to Proton VPN and all this kind of stuff. And he said, apart from that Proton VPN, everything else worked.
Okay.
That's what he said. Whether he was using, and he didn't. I don't think he
I
actually
wonder
knew
how
whether
WSL would work.
That was the other thing I was going to find out
Yeah.
as well, actually. Because can you install a GUI on WSL?
Oh,
Yeah, the new version you can.
So there you go. That's
And you can even have it almost be like a seamless experience where you kind of don't. It doesn't look like you're using Windows, I guess, technically.
Let's see, eh? Interesting stuff.
But what I don't know is, does it have to be? I don't know enough to even ask
Just
the
do
question.
it. Just
Yeah,
do it
just
like
do it.
everybody else and
Yeah.
SSH into your Linux machines and do the real work.
I think
That's-
it'll
that's
be an
why-
interesting experiment.
I don't
Sorry,
need
go
to. I don't need
Yeah.
WSL for that. though.
This is why I buy machines pre-installed with the best Linux desktop of all time, Mac OS.
BSD, isn't it?
That's
Wait,
It's
isn't
a
the
Unix.
latest Mac? What did I see? The latest Mac is technically Unix now.
It's always been technically Unix.
No, I
They've
know.
always
They made some
they've paid
point-
the
they
Unix
made-
group. They've been paying the Unix
Oh,
group for years and years
okay.
and years. They always get the stamp of approval from the Unix group. Mac OS is one of the few operating systems that are still an actual real Unix.
Gotcha.
so. Do they
Fine.
do they have a name for that desktop? Is it just Mac OS desktop,
Yeah.
or do they for their interface? Do they?
See, the cool thing about Mac OS is you don't have to care. You don't have to care at all. Is it GNOME? Is it Plasma? Is it what is it underneath?
No, you
I
don't
know.
have to,
I
but
don't-
we do because we're nerds.
I don't know, man. I click on the app and it works, and I install the app and it works, and I drag
gonna
this
piss
over here and it
everybody off?
works.
Is it going to piss everybody off if I ask Leo 5 minutes of something about Apple?
Let's do it. No, it's too
do
late.
that anyway.
It's
We
Apple
do that
OTC.
anyway.
Let's go.
All right. So why do people run different versions of the desktop? Why doesn't everybody just run the most recent release? Because I always see people like, oh, well, if you run this version, it's better for this or that. Like, or am I misunderstanding? Because it just seems
No,
like there are
there's-
people who like hang on to a certain version and they don't want to upgrade or. So,
There's always going to be the personal preference thing. Like, I just have everything set up the exact way that I want it to be, so I don't ever want it to change at all. And if I have to swipe 3 fingers to the left and it changes, oh, God. that's a
So it's a
pretty-
personal preference.
Yeah, it's a pretty large contingent of people that just don't ever want anything to change ever, which is a big reason why people hate Linux, because stuff's changing all the time, forever.
Right.
So
Right.
and you just do an apt upgrade, and all of a sudden, why is it different? And then there are other people that certainly, like, going from major upgrades will actually break stuff sometimes. And the app developers usually have to churn and churn and churn until they have a version of it that's ready for that version of Mac OS or whatever. I mean,
Okay.
usually those developers have access to the earlier builds, but some of the developers truly don't. And so it's until they get beta access on their own devices, or they get the official release on their own devices, are they ever really able to test. So yeah,
And I guess
a
it's
little
not
mixed bag.
always an advantage that the latest is necessarily greatest. If what
Oh,
you're
yeah, of
doing
course.
and you're happy with it.
Of course. I mean, that's the whole arch problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have the latest and greatest and it break.
What's funny
Did you
is
just
that
say arch problem?
yeah, problem.
Sorry, that's not a problem. That's a feature.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
set.
Part of the churn, baby. But yeah, so I mean, what's funny is that the same people that are slow rolling the Mac OS releases are the same kinds of folks that are like coming up to end of life on Linux devices, right? Like, I'm on Debian 11. The end of life is next week. What do I do? Like, why did you stay?
Yeah.
Well, because it was familiar. I didn't want to change anything. I
You
didn't
know,
wanna
I've
break
heard a lot
anything.
of people say though on Mac, and again, anecdotal. I don't use a Mac. I don't have one.
should.
I wouldn't say no if somebody wanted to. Hey, you want this Mac?
Oh.
That's kind of how I feel too.
But I've heard the
Been there,
chatter
tried
and-
that. I wore the t-shirt. No, thank you.
And
did
I've
it
heard
wrong.
people say, "Well, I haven't updated because it's going to break this." Is some of that overstated? Do you think?
Depends. Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes they're really just afraid of change. But
Yeah.
I mean, but no, sometimes there really are applications. It's not Firefox, It's like it's not Discord. It's not the general apps that most people use on a day to day. It's the more pinpointed stuff that you're already buying the support from this company, and the company's told you don't do it, right? Like, it's that kind of software
Okay.
where you've got more than one device, or you've got a fleet of devices at work, but you also run that same software there at home, and you can't upgrade. You just can't. Not yet.
I'm going to admit something to Leo. I mean, to all of you, but
It's going to
for
make
Leo.
me so happy. I
is gonna
guarantee
be
it. Look at his
huge.
face.
It will. This is going to make you very happy. I have this fantasy of someday I just buy an Apple device, like a MacBook or something, and then I just never look back. I just
What's that?
I just resign myself to never thinking about using my computer in any other way than Apple wants me to, and I just get on with my life.
You'll
And
be
this
fine.
Entire weight.
Been
of
there,
dealing
tried
with-
that. Wore the
no.
t-shirt, didn't like it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I
think I could do it.
I fully committed to the Apple iPad and the Mac experiment. I tried it, man. I couldn't do it. I
I could see myself doing it, but it would be more akin to Leo's attitude towards it, where I've got things that I do on Microsoft, I've got things that I do on Linux, and I got things I do on Apple, just because right tool
Windows
for the right
is
job.
Windows is Xbox OS. I use Windows G
Yeah.
all the time to do recordings and stuff. It runs Discord great. I've got Apple for the day-to-day battery life stuff that I just do not want to compromise on. Like, I want to be able to leave the house with this laptop and never think about bringing the charger along with me. Never. Not ever. And then Linux for literally everything else. Like, if I need to run a server,
There's our
it's
show
Linux.
title.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
See, that's where I think I would differ. I think I would have a Linux box that would do all of my sort of servery stuff, right?
I've got like 4 of those, yeah.
Well,
Hell
I
yeah.
know. I'm saying one, but I'm. Let's just say whatever contingent of Linux equipment I need to service that need there. But then anything I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is I'm just done dealing with the weird crap that happens on Linux all the time. It just, I'm done with it. I don't want to deal with that broken update. I don't want to deal with the weird, I don't want to think about, oh, look, there's another shiny object. There's another release of something. There's another, to just purge myself.
Yeah.
And I know
and-
it's impossible. It's a complete pipe dream, but
But for as much flack as it gets, this is why I like to use Linux Mint. There's only one major upgrade every 2 years. I mean, it's on a straight up Debian timeline, and it just we're talking. I think it's broken, like broken. Linux Mint's fault broken once over the past. How long did I say I was using it? Almost 8 years.
Yeah,
And I mean,
that's true.
I'm fine with that. I pretty much assume my Mac device is going to break about that much. But
Yeah.
it's going to happen. Your phone's going to need to be refreshed eventually. Like, it doesn't matter what you have, Android or Apple or whatever.
So, Majid, to your point, I did have a 2017-ish vintage, 2018 vintage MacBook Pro, and the thing I absolutely hated was that the fans spun up constantly. Everything I did, those freaking fans were spinning up, and it drove me nuts. I hate it. I hate devices that have to constantly be actively cooling themselves, and so the thought of an M series processor and having a silent system that not only I don't have to hear, but then the battery life is excellent, and all of the other, I know for a fact that's what made me hate that laptop, and I kept it for 6 months before selling it to my brother-in-law because I hated it. I could not stand the fact that it would never run silently.
So
To your
I
point
had
on
an M1. So I had an M1 Mac again after the iPad debacle, right? When I was getting rid of it, I thought, well, okay, why am I pretending to use an iPad like a laptop? Why not just buy a bloody laptop? Why not buy an Apple laptop? So I initially found a MacBook Pro 2017-ish edition as well. The battery was completely shot. Couldn't use it for anything. Tried to managed to get
the experience.
Yeah, tried to put a Kubuntu on it. Managed to get Kubuntu onto it actually, but then
That's not even Mac.
I know. So then, in the end, but in the end, I gave it away because it was not gave it away. I managed to sell it on actually for a profit, actually. And then I thought, I was acting like Winston at the end of Big Brother, 1984, when he sees Big Brother and he goes over himself and says, "I love Big Brother." Let's just go full in. And so I went off and bought an M1 MacBook Air, and yes, the performance was brilliant. It was cool. The battery was amazing. I only charged it once a week at most. I couldn't get along with Mac OS. Any kind of little changes I wanted to make, I couldn't make. Now, I then therefore came to the conclusion that at the end of the day, my personality traits do not fit well with this kind of device. My incessant need to tinker, have things the way I want it, to do, whether it's to use free and open source, so instead of proprietary, also whatever. I'm not a fit for that machine. And so even though, as I said, it had the best laptop battery life I've ever used, right? And it was, light and portable and all that sort of stuff, I ended up selling it on. The one good thing being that MacBooks hold their value, so I didn't lose any money. Yeah. But I did that. But I actually genuinely, joking aside, I do kind of know where you're coming from, Eric, because sometimes you're like, can I just forget all this and just pay someone else and just have everything sorted out for me? But I think, I don't know about you, but as I said, my forays into that world have shown that I am not a fit for that. And so
it's been
a
long time for me. And I agree with you. I have the same tendencies to want to tweak, but I also recognize that that is becoming much, much less for me. Like over the last 3 or 4 years, I don't really tend to touch and play. Like I install.
It's because you're old.
I am old, and that's the absolute truth. Like I like things the way I like them, and then beyond that, I don't really need. Like I used to just go look for new software for no reason, just because I was bored.
I do that now, and I go to Homebrew, and I just install rando piece of junk, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. Brew.
So this was a discussion on, again, one of the late night Linux episodes where Joe Rossidan actually said, a lot of us, we just get to a certain age and we just think, forget it, and just go Mac. We can't go Windows because we can never go there, you know. But we do that, and you know, and he's a guy who makes his living off Linux podcasts. for
Just
God's
wait.
Yeah.
Once I can get my hands on one of these Snapdragon Windows machines, there may be a change. There may be a change. I don't think there will be, but there may be. I just like the ability to have a Unix underneath and then open up a terminal and then do all my Linux stuff. Like that's just so nice to me. So I don't know if Windows is ever going to make any inroads on that, but
Well, on
it's
that
a
bombshell, we
cool
better
thought.
get out of here. I hate to cut this. Hate to cut this off, but
Yeah.
I feel
Sorry
like we
you're
could go
enjoying
on
the
and
show.
on.
It's over.
Yeah.
We did have a little bit of turnout on here. I would say comparable to Mintcast in terms
Interesting.
of people in the live stream.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks for showing up. For those of you in the audio only,
Bill's got stuff to do. Go do something else.
we got to go do. Three of us got to go do Mintcast. So,
There's going to be two of us, actually. I'm not going to be there. Sorry.
Oh no.
well, I'm going to be there because I got to stream it, but I'm not going to be in the next show, so I'm not going to be of much help. But anyway, let us know what you think. I think this was a good exercise episode, guys. Let us know what you think. Email the show at linuxotc.org. Hit us up on Mastodon. I'm still not sure I know how to use that, but I'm
Oh, we
working
never
on it.
had that conversation. We got to talk about the title of Mastodon next time or something.
Yeah.
Eric's
like
not
the
happy
title.
with it.
Hoping
Eric's
you-
not happy. He doesn't like to toot.
No, I don't like the
Well-
toot. I won't
I
do
love
that.
tooting. I love tooting. I'm gonna toot on you.
I call it
Well, that's it,
posting.
the-
I'm just glad that there's the language is not quite as in there as it
I'm
was
gonna
with Twitter.
message you.
Anyway, comment
I'm going
directly.
to contact you on a bulletin board.
Oh, let me.
Ooh,
Add, what's your
wow?
at?
Subscribe to my email,
Yeah, subscribe to my
My-
BBS.
my newsletter.
alt.linux.weirdos.
Shit, how did you know what
Oh.
it was called?
Anyway, folks, let us know what you think. And if you didn't catch the live stream, catch us next time. I think it was a success, but then again, I haven't went back and looked at it. More on that later. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Until then, I've been Bill. And
I've been
Eric.
Eric.
Yeah. And I've been Leo. Wait,
And I've been
no!
Majid. I got ya.
Gotcha.
I'm still Leo. No.
Oh, ain't that something? The beauty of live streaming. We'll see you, folks. And
Gotcha.
again, thanks
Damn
for
it.
joining live stream, folks.